I'm Eric Mullis. I'm co coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live and work and teach. Um, my work right now is tech heavy. I about 5 years ago started working in dance technology, and I just kind of found my way into it. It wasn't intentional. And the next thing I know, my wife said, "You're very techy." So maybe I am. And so it's part of I'm doing a multi-year project, which is under this banner of, it's called Motive Forces, and just making a lot of work that kind of falls under that. And the piece that I'll be showing at the festival, which I'm really so excited to be a part of, is it's a duet. And it's a little different because it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles technology on stage, like no sensors or giant projections or interactive sound or anything. That we actually made the choreography kind of in dialogue with a motion visualization software. And so we made we would improvise and I would put the footage in the software and then I would bring it back to the dancers and then like we would watch it and then kind of create from there. So the piece isn't, it's just a kind of complex, nuanced dance duet. And it's technological, but the dancers are kind of the technology because they are embodying a kind of spatial logic of the software.
What was the original seed of this particular work?
And we actually started to make it because there's this beautiful venue here called the Mint Museum of Art, and it has this atrium that just like goes up and up and up and up. And originally, I wanted to make the duet so it could be seen from above. And that was the starting impulse, just kind of letting the space, letting thinking about building a dance for a particular space. And so we kind of went in with that, like really thinking about floor work in a different way. And then we started thinking about kind of that different, because normally perspective, you think frontal from the proscenium. And that was the impetus. And then kind of layered on this idea of the technology. I think the appeal of tech for me is not so much like wow that something really fast cool is possible. It's more instrumental. It's like the technology is a tool to try to find ways to choreograph differently. And that could be that the technology, it comes with constraints that you didn't foresee. And so you have to adapt to them. And I like that kind of challenge. Or it opens up possibilities. And that's the case what it was with this duet. It started like helping me because if you think about two people and all the possible lines of connection between them, we tend to have our preferences about which part touches which part, and that's part of our training and our just the way we move through the world. And so what I liked about this software is that it's algorithmic and it just shows tons of possibilities that I would never imagine. And so it was the meeting of those two things, a different perspective on creating the duet, a visual perspective. And then now that the dancers are there, imagine from above, what are these possible pathways and how can we show them? So that was the start. Mhm.
Great. I'm looking forward to seeing it live on stage,
Yeah,
and in a new space. I'm sure that each space you perform it in also ends up influencing it, of course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, in beautiful ways.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Great. Your piece sounds like it is um, coming out of a really abstract place, not a narrative place. Of course, as anybody watches a dance, they can put their own sort of interpretations on things like that. But I'm curious if there are any particular feelings that you want your dance to evoke. in an audience?
That's a big question, Anne. I'm of the school that Grandpa Cunningham, that if the dance is really strong, if the dancers are really strong and the choreography is rich, then just the act of them committing to it is enough. I think that that comes out in this duet. It's two young women really committing themselves to some very precise, rigorous, challenging choreography. Um, it's also challenging because this was something we didn't realize till later on, but my background, I came to dance late, and but I came from a very long time practice of traditional Chinese martial arts, and so it's kind of kung fu-y.
Mm,
Like there's a kind of there is tension. Um, and we talked about that a lot, that I think you're seeing, two really virtuosic dancers, with the precision, but then also they're kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, they're going at each other. It's a kind of, it could be a game, it could be, and sometimes it's a more neutral and practical, and other times there's like little moments of tension. And so maybe a long-winded way to say there's definitely no intention from the beginning to kind of go in and have a specific relationship or psychological content. That was definitely the case from the beginning. But I do think that there are things for people to find in terms of who these two young women are and what their relationship to each other is. I think there's a lot of room for people to kind of take what they want from it. But I think there's also room just to kind of watch it in a more formal way. So yeah, the technology is a tool of abstraction. Um, and so there's something going on there too. Um, but yeah, I think that's how I'd answer your question.
You said a minute ago, you can approach it, a viewer could approach your work in a really formal way. And what
Mhm,
I think what you mean by that is sort of looking at the form of it, the shapes, the lines, the spatial designs.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and I think sometimes, especially for viewers who are newer to watching dance, um, there can be a sense that surely that's not that can't be enough, right? That
Mhm.
to like if I'm just noticing the shapes of the bodies in front of me on stage, like I must be missing something. Any advice you could give to somebody in that position who might be going to their and encountering, I mean, any one of these pieces, right? These are all three going to be very different pieces. What would you say to a viewer like that?
I think, well, I would say two things real quick. And I think that the way NCDF curates speaks to this, that dance is inherently pluralist. And it's because the body is plural. And so I think a beautiful thing is like to have a more formalist piece, and a piece that has a narrative, and a piece that's about interpersonal. Like I think, the yes, 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 it's yes and. Um, Speaking personally, I think my advice would be to, when anyone encounters a dance performance, or it's not just dance, anything that like doesn't immediately map onto the familiar, I think we should lean into it instead of like lean away and say, this is not for me, because those are the spaces where we do encounter something new, and there's a chance for us to learn something and to expand our horizons. And so, yeah, I guess that would be my advice.